Welcome back to Suncoast View. The newest play at Oslo Rep is a pretty big deal. For one, it's about pianist and entertainer Oscar Levant, known for his witty and often biting TV appearances in the late 50s and the early 60s. Another reason it's a big deal, this is a regional premiere after a very successful Broadway run. Actor Max Roll was part of that Broadway company, and he is starring as Oscar here at Oslo Rep. And we're very happy to welcome Max and his co-star, Sasha Andreev, who plays Jack Parr. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, Max, let's start with you. You star as Oscar Levant in Goodnight, Oscar. How would you sum up, for any viewers that aren't familiar with the real Oscar, how would you sum up Oscar's character?
Oscar was and remains a somewhat forgotten figure from Hollywood's golden era. He collaborated with some of the most remarkable talent of that generation, people like Gene Kelly. He was a raconteur, he was a wit, he appeared on numerous TV shows. He had his own show with his wife June for a while. One point at around the late 50s, early 60s or so, he was the most successful and well-paid classical concert pianist in the United States. So he was a remarkable man, multifaceted, and an extraordinary person. So we're thrilled to kind of bring him back to life.
One interesting thing about this play is that it has reached non-theater goers because anyone that listens to the podcast Smartless has heard TV star Sean Hayes starred as Oscar on Broadway. Yeah. You were in the original Broadway company as the standby. Yeah. Now you're here playing the lead. What is it like for you to have gone from the Broadway production in that role to now taking it over here?
That's a question I've received more than once. It's always a thrill to be on a Broadway stage and to learn from Sean. And one of the things that I learned from him specifically was how to lead a company of actors in that capacity. He led with such generosity and grace that it put everybody else in a position where they could do their best work. So to have a chance to put my own spin on it, I think good actors at least borrow, if not steal. So I took elements of Sean's performance, I infused it with hopefully elements that are organic to me and that felt real to me.
Well, I can tell you the buzz about your portrayal, and nothing to take away from any other actor. You have completely owned this role, and many people on the Suncoast have come back to see the show multiple times because of your portrayal. So we're thrilled that you're doing it here for us.
It's a real honor to be here, and I'm glad it's resonating with people, so I hope they continue to come.
And Sasha, you play a role that in real life, many people are familiar with the character that you played, legendary TV host Jack Parr. How does Jack factor into the plot of this story?
So the show starts out with Jack fighting with his boss, Bob Sarnoff of NBC, to have Oscar as the premier guest to launch his West Coast debut, and its ratings sweeps. So he's fighting to bring him on because he knows he's going to make good television. And the big moral quandary of the show is, what is it like to perhaps exploit somebody with mental illness, addiction, in order to get ratings and entertainment? But he knows that Oscar also needs this in order to feel vital in his life. So that's the battle. So, and he knows that the two of them on air together are going to be a good time.
As actors, how do you each approach the idea of playing characters that are based on real people, but you're also, you know, you're playing a character in a story. Yep. Like, how do you approach research of that real character versus your own process?
There's a little bit of pressure, particularly when you have a community of folks that maybe grew up watching these folks
the
on
Suncoast.
TV. Yes, that's right. Or, you know,
I did. Yes,
it's Florida, and so it's about researching, watching the video clips, looking at photos, reading about them, but then also taking the text and see the characters that have been created by playwright Doug Wright and merging the two so you can have a fine balance between a recognizable entity that people know, but also servicing the play.
Well, another big part of this show is the piano that is on stage, and I got a chance to join you, Max, on stage at Oslo Rep to get a closer look at this very important prop and aspect of the show. Let's take a look. All right, it's almost impossible to talk about Goodnight, Oscar and not talk about the piano. So Max was kind enough to invite me to see the piano on stage. Max, tell us a little bit about you, Max, not the character Oscar. When did you start studying piano, and what's been your journey?
So I've been at this for a really long time, probably about 5 years old, maybe even younger. There's pictures of me at a tiny white baby piano that my parents got me when I was about 6 months old.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sitting on my dad's knee and hammering something out. My parents are both concert pianists, so they were keen that I start classical music at a young age. And so I probably started practicing seriously somewhere around 5, 6, 7 years old.
Oh, wow. So this is a perfect role for you because you really do get to do so many of your talents. I think a lot of people would be curious to know, you as Max may play the piano one way.
Yeah.
You are embodying the character of Oscar, and who plays the piano differently. How do you as an actor approach the piano playing in the show?
That's a good question. There's no way to be able to fully articulate how much of a prodigious talent Oscar was as a piano player. So to attempt to play the instrument like him is impossible. There are very few professional concert classical trained pianists who can. He was a genius and in his day the highest paid performing classical pianist in America. So for me, the escape is actually to try to embody him through the character. If I was trying to play as myself, that wouldn't work either. I'd be consumed with nerves and that self-awareness that comes with playing an instrument yourself. And if I was trying to mimic him, I wouldn't be able to do it technically. So the only way into it is by being the character and by recognizing that the character's in a place of extremis. So if he's playing and he's nervous and he's not sure whether the next thing's going to come out and how it's going to come out, that serves me because that's where we are in the story.
Would you treat us to a little tickling of the ivories?
I would, of course.
Well, if there's any question that Max is playing live on stage, that answers it. You can see Goodnight Oscar. It runs through April 26th at Oslo Rep. For tickets and showtimes, visit oslorep.org. We'll be right back.